Hey guys, this is Ray, owner of Double R Diesel. Welcome back to my channel and to my shop, and we're doing another office video discussion today. And I'm circling back on a topic I've already been talking about several times before, and it does deal with diesel emissions. Now, I had talked about before the prospect of being able to delete the emissions off your diesel vehicle legally. Well, that's still illegal. You can't do it legally. And I don't see that changing, very soon. Possibly there could be some concessions down the road, and that's what I'm hoping for, and that's what this video is all about. Now, if you've been following along, I've talked about a topic of useful life when it comes to emission systems on diesel vehicles. And useful life is something that's actually defined in the CFR and the government and regulations, and basically it is defined for a manufacturer standpoint, which basically says for certain vehicle sizes and year models and so on and so forth, that if that vehicle has so many thousand miles on it or it's so many years old, then the useful life of the emission systems on that vehicle is considered over, which basically what the CFR is talking about is the manufacturer's off the hook as far as the emission systems being able to clean the exhaust to the EPA standards. So, my whole point and topic of discussion before was, what happens after that for us as shop owners and consumers. And my whole argument to that was that it is very expensive for a consumer to replace these components on an older diesel vehicle to get it back to new standards. And I assume that's what the EPA would want or has wanted in times past. Let me just put it to you like that. It is a fluid situation in Washington right now. The EPA is changing. A lot of things in the government's changing. A lot of things going to be up for discussion. A lot of things, possible bills and laws and amendments could be made in the future. And that's why I wanted to shed more light on this subject, because really and truly, I would love for someone higher up, like Mr. Zeldin himself, the administrator, Lee Zeldin, to actually consider this topic, maybe even see this video or hear about this topic, so that, it could be brought to the table. Maybe some common sense middle ground legislation could pass in Congress that would help the average consumer. Now, let me just say that I am not for brand new vehicles coming off the assembly line without emissions on them. I mean, for all intents and purposes, vehicle emissions control is a good thing for the environment as a whole. My whole point in this argument is just, the cost that it takes to keep an older system going for an older vehicle. And let's face it, a lot of people can only afford to keep an older diesel vehicle. The prices of newer diesel vehicles, whether it's for personal or even commercial use, is getting higher and higher and higher, and it is getting quite unaffordable for a lot of people and a lot of businesses. So they're choosing to keep their older vehicles on the road. But in that process, we want to make sure that we are legal. We want to make sure that we are taking care of our vehicles. We want to make sure that we're doing it economically and feasibly. So, talking about useful life. Let's say, for example, I've got a 2013 Ram 2500, and it's got 147,000 miles on it. Something on the exhaust or the EGR or the SCR, the DEF system, something on that is subject to fail at any time now, and I would have to replace it. Going back looking at the CFR, actually that vehicle, my truck in particular, is past the useful life as it's defined in the CFR as far as the emissions controls on it. That doesn't say I can legally delete it, but it doesn't say what I'm supposed to do either. But we assume that we are supposed to maintain those vehicle emissions controls and replace them. I wanted to show you guys what it actually would cost a consumer to replace all those components that could possibly subject to fail on a truck like my 2013 Ram 2500. So I'm going to show you some slides that I've taken from mopardirect.com. It is a dealer-based website that anybody can access, that you can get genuine Mopar, Chrysler, FCA replacement parts for a Ram heavy-duty diesel truck. So if you go in here, and I'll show you what I have found. So starting with the exhaust system, we all know you got a DPF that could fail. We all know that you've got an SCR system that could fail. We all know there's sensors all up and down the exhaust. We all know there's an EGR system that can fail with its integrated components and sensors as well. We all know that the DEF system has its own things that can fail too. So I wanted to price all this out and just see what this is going to cost the average consumer if he had to replace all this. Now, granted, you're probably not going to replace this all at once, but during enough time, you will probably replace about all these components if you keep them on your truck. So let's go online here, and maybe you'll be able to see these slides that I've got here, and let's look at what these components cost individually. And granted, I'll say this, you probably could shop around and find a better price on these parts, but this is straight what the dealer probably would charge for these products, what I'm finding online here. So it's just a good benchmark to shoot from. Most people will probably go to the dealer for these parts, and they're not really going to take time to try to find the cheapest deal. So that's why I'm using this. So just keep that in mind. So looking at the slides here. So first thing we're going to look at is the SCR units. And we've got a couple here. You probably got one here for a pickup and one for a cab and chassis. But both of those are $1,075 each, almost $1,100. And going right on down the line, let's find the DPFs. So the diesel particulate filters, got a couple of them here. And like I said, one's probably cab and chassis, one's pickup. Anyway, one of them you can't even get, it's back ordered. The other one is almost $3,000 for that one component, which is your DOC and your DPF all in one unit for these particular year models. Going on down the list. Let's see what else we could have. Well, we could have a differential pressure sensor to have to be replaced, $237. What else do we have? Going into the DEF system, you could have a diesel exhaust fluid module that you would have to replace, $449. What else? What about a DEF injector? $289. What else do we have? Well, we could get into the NOx sensors. You've got two NOx sensors. You've got one behind the turbo, and then you got one behind the SCR. The one behind the SCR is a mere $572. What if you have to buy the one right behind the turbo? $1,254 from Mopar. Wow. What else? Well, let's look in the EGR system. Well, you got an EGR valve itself that could stick, get gummed up, and you have to replace. $1,452, almost $1,500. What about an EGR temperature sensor? $264. What about an exhaust back pressure sensor? $458. What about the EGR cooler itself? Well, it could be anywhere from $1,600 to $2,000 for a whole EGR cooler if you crack one of those. So you see where I'm getting at all this. It gets really, really expensive. So I priced all this together, and this is not every component that's on these trucks like mine that are part of the emission system that you could have to replace. This is just maybe 70% of it. What I just showed you, if I bought those pieces from Mopar, just the parts alone is almost $11,000. That's right, $11,000 for just those parts alone if you buy them from Mopar. Like I said, you might could find them a little cheaper, but most people are going to go to the dealer for it. That's not even labor to have them installed. Now, obviously, I could, I'm mechanically inclined enough and got a shop, I could do it myself and save myself the labor expense, but most people can't do that. They got to pay somebody to do it. I can't imagine what the labor would be on to replace all this stuff, if you had to do it over a period of time and you replaced every component. As far as parts warranty, I actually called the dealer, my local dealer, and asked him, I said, look, if I replace the DPF on my 2013 truck with a genuine Mopar replacement DPF, what is the warranty on that? They told me that it does have a unlimited mileage warranty, but it's only warranted for 2 years. And that warranty does not cover labor. So they're only going to warranty it for 2 years, and labor's not covered. So you could see very easily, the average consumer could spend anywhere from 10, 11, all the way up to $20,000 to replace these components on a 13 through 18 Ram 2500 with a 6.7 liter Cummins. That is, some cases, more than half the value of what a person may have paid for that truck. Okay? And most people aren't made of money. $30,000, $40,000 is, about what they can put in a used vehicle to meet their needs. And a lot of, so if somebody says, well, most people don't need a diesel truck. Well, most people don't need a diesel truck, but for the people that need them, they're looking for, what will meet their needs at the best possible price so that they can stay within a budget. You think about a lot of older folks who are retired and they want a diesel vehicle to pull their camper, or you think about a small business owner who has to haul equipment around that needs a diesel vehicle to pull their equipment around. They can't afford brand new vehicles, and they can't afford to replace the components on these vehicles when they wear out. That is my argument, guys. Like I said, I'm all about clean air, but it's got to make sense. That's my sign back there, says bring back common sense. That's what I'm talking about. Bring back common sense. So here's what I say. When the useful life is up on these components, I think that deletion should be a legal option at that point. Like I've said before, it's not going to make a big dent in the grand scheme of things as far as emissions out there when you're just talking about, a few thousand older vehicles as compared to the newer vehicles that are on the road, will be on the road, okay? So, guys, let me know what you think. Make good arguments both ways in your discussion. I'll look at the comments. I'm hoping that the video will be shared and people higher up will see the video, and maybe, it could be brought to, the proper legislative place so that some things could change. So please comment, like, subscribe. As always, guys, I appreciate you guys following along. God bless each and every one of you, and we will see you again soon.